A lot of critics have always constantly compared the governor of Abia State, Alex Otti's performance to that of the governor of Enugu State, Peter Mbah. But I think before you join that wagon of comparison, you should watch this particular video. Now, in Nigerian politics, comparison is easy. Like, it is very easy. Citizens compare roads, they compare flyovers, they compare media visibility, and they even compare project commissioning speed. But serious political analysis begins somewhere deeper. Now, before you compare two governors, before you turn governance into football rivalry, you must ask one question. What did each man meet on ground? Because leadership does not begin in a vacuum. It begins with inheritance. And in May of 2023, two men took oaths in two neighboring southeast states, one in Abia and the other in Enugu. But they did not inherit the same reality. And until we confront the truth, every comparison remains shallow. So first, we're going to start off with the governor of Abia State. When Alex Otti walked into Government House in Umuahia in May of 2023, he did not walk into a neutral environment. He walked into a state that had been politically controlled by one dominant party structure for over 2 decades. But beyond party dominance, the real issue was structural condition. Let's begin with finances. First, the salary and pension crisis. Before 2023, Abia had developed a reputation, fair or unfair, for salary delays. Civil servants complained of arrears. Pensioners protested unpaid entitlements. Local government workers expressed frustration over irregular payments. Now, pause for a minute. When a governor takes office in a state where morale within the workforce is already low, the first assignment is not expansion. It is stabilisation. If workers do not trust government payroll systems, if pensioners are uncertain of their entitlements, if basic wage consistency is questioned, then governance does not begin with flyovers. It begins with financial credibility. And that is what Abia represents in 2023, some supporters of Alex Otti would say. A state where restoring salary confidence was a priority before anything else. Number 2 is the issue of debt burden and financial structure. Abia's domestic debt profile was significant. Servicing obligations limited fiscal breathing space, Alex Otti supporters will say, but something that his critics disagrees in the state. Revenue inflows versus expenditure commitment created tight margins. This is critical because when you inherit a state with limited fiscal flexibility, your first year becomes a balancing act. Clear arrears or start new projects, pay contractors or restructure debts, boost infrastructure or fix payroll systems. Governance is not emotional, it is arithmetic. And arithmetic in Abia State required discipline before expansion. Number 3 is the issue of infrastructure reality. Let's talk about roads. Abia, the commercial nerve center, had long struggled with deteriorating roads and drainage systems. Umuahia had urban decay complaints. Flooding in certain areas became seasonal routine. Public school needed renovation. Healthcare infrastructure required attention. But here is the important point. When infrastructure decay has accumulated over 20 years, visible transformation does not happen in months. Rehabilitation after prolonged neglect is slower than starting fresh projects in already stable environments. You don't sprint when rebuilding a collapsed structure. You reinforce, you stabilize, you correct foundational weaknesses. That was the environment in Abia. 4. Administrative overhaul. Now let's discuss political structure. Otti did not come from the dominant structure that had controlled the state for years. He emerged from outside the entrenched political establishment. That meant institutional loyalty networks were not automatically aligned. Transitions from long-standing party dominance to opposition leadership often come with bureaucratic resistance, documentation gaps, institutional initials, internal structuring delays. You are not just governing, You are reforming system that was not designed around you, and that takes time. Number 5 is the trust deficit. There was also a psychological factor. Public confidence in governance systems had weakened. Many citizens had become skeptical of government promises. So beyond projects, there was a credibility battle. Before announcing grand visions, the administration needed to show financial transparency, administrative seriousness, policy consistency. In politics, trust is infrastructure too, and Abia required construction of trust. Number 6 is the issue of economic structure of the state. Abia's economy is heavily informal. Markets, SMEs, artisans, manufacturing clusters like arrears. Informal economies are vibrant but hard to tax efficiently. That affects internally generated revenue consistency. So while commercial activity may look active, revenue capture can be weaker compared to states with more structured formal sectors, meaning physical maneuverability was limited. What does all this mean for Abia and Alex Otti when they took over? It means the first phase of governance in Abia was always going to be corrective, not flashy. Corrective, salary stability, debt restructuring, administrative cleanup, and foundational repair. So, when people compare visible speed of projects without examining inherited burdens, they ignore context. And context is everything in politics. Now let's look across to Enugu. When Mbah took oath in 2023, he stepped into a different type of environment. Not perfect because no state is perfect, but structurally different. Let's break it down. Number 1, administrative continuity. Enugu had maintained relative civil service stability. Salary payment structures were more predictable. The bureaucratic system was functioning with continuity from previous administrations. Because continuity matters, when a new governor enters a system already functioning administratively, his first year is not about fixing payroll credibility. It is about scaling ambition. That difference is foundational. Number 2 for Mbah, urban planning advantage. Enugu City has long served as regional administrative capital in the southeast. It hosts federal institutions. It has historic urban planning advantages. Road networks, though not flawless, had structured layouts. Urban identity was already defined. So infrastructure expansion builds on existing frameworks. It is easier to widen an already paved road than to restructure one destroyed for years. That affects speed perception. 3 is revenue structure and formal economy. Enugu's economy contains formal hospitality sectors, education institutions, federal establishments, corporate presence. Formal economies improve revenue predictability. Revenue predictability improves planning confidence. Planning confidence accelerates visible projects. It is not magic. It is physical structure. Number 4 is political structure and party alignment. There was also party continuity in Enugu under Mbah. Transition within an established political structure reduces friction. Institutional alignment is smoother. Resistance is lower. Documentation transfer is clearer. When your political system is not in shock, your first months are not consumed by restructuring. They are consumed by policy execution. That difference matters. Number 5, governance philosophy. Mbah came in with an expansion-driven narrative, ambitious economic targets, tech-oriented reforms, infrastructure acceleration. But ambition, execute faster when the foundation is stable. You can promise transformation when you are not first battling administrative cleanup. Number 6, public expectation psychology. In Enugu, public expectations was about advancement. In Abia, public expectation was about correction. One state asked, how far can we go? The other asked, can we finally stabilize? Different psychological atmospheres produced different governance rhythms. Here is the uncomfortable truth. One governor began by fixing leaking roof in a damaged house. The other began by adding new floor to an already standing building. If you compare their construction speed without acknowledging the condition of the houses, you are not analyzing, you are competing emotionally. Governance cannot be measured like social media trends. It must be measured against inherited realities. Now again, the question of why this comparison becomes misleading. When critics say, look at Enugu's speed, or supporters say, look at Abia's transformation, the real question should be, speed relative to what starting point? Transformation relates to what baseline? Because without baseline data, comparison is a political noise. Now, this is not about declaring one better than the other. It is about analytical fairness. Both governors operate in different inherited economic conditions, different administrative realities, different psychological climates, different physical constraints, and different institutional alignment. So judging them by identical yardsticks ignores context. Leadership must not be measured only by visible projects, but by the condition of the ground beneath those projects. If you inherit stability, your responsibility is acceleration. If you inherit instability, your responsibility is correction. Both are leadership, but are not the same starting line. And until political conversations in Nigeria begin with what they did meet instead of who is faster, our debates will remain shallow.